Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiacos FC and Greek football.
The first day of
We fucked it. We fucked it again.
Let's try that again.
What is happening, everybody? Gate 7 National is back. A little bit of a misstep even from us as well. I needed that, though. I really needed that after this game. But we are here to let it out, listen to you, vent. We're here to be your therapeutic space. I'm Adi. I'm joined by Lambro, Marcio, and Costa. We've got a full house just about today. And we're going to talk about everything that happened that was wrong today. Boys, how are we doing? Lambro.
No, I just want to say from the intro, Peter died so we could live. No, his intro.
No, he didn't die. Peter's alive.
I'm joking. But his intro died so we could live. It's a rough night. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so used to fucking losing 3-4-1 these days. I feel no pain anymore. It's like that's just the life these days. Anyway,
Martial,
that's it.
I don't know what to say. The feelings are so mixed because I'm not even mad as I was after all the losses before, but I'm just super frustrated, and that's the worst feeling in football when you're frustrated, because I do believe we could have won tonight, or at least not lose the game. But we just ate a nice 3-1 at home. And as Lambro said, I'm getting used to that. And that's not good at all.
getting called out here, Lambro.
Guys, we lose more than we win. That's just the truth of the matter these days. That's like, I'm not really, maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe it says something that, that I'm only here on the losses. Not ideal, is it?
Well, looks like we lost both Martial and Costa at the same time. Well, before we get moving, Lambro, give them a chance to get back. Guys, if you haven't done so already, a bunch of you have already tuned in. There's quite a lot of you in here getting started, ready to share your feelings with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It costs you nothing. Takes about 2 seconds of your time to do. If you like what you hear here, if you want to help us grow the community, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you want to know any other time we go live or anytime we have new content. You can also join the Patreon group chat. The Patreon group chat is its own little beast now, but it's fun. It's very entertaining. Check it out. You can support us for $1 a month. You can also find other packages that include extra episodes, including interviews and different types of enhanced analysis. So check us out on Patreon if you would like to check out even more. Boys, Marcio, I saw your hand up. Tell us what you want to say, and then we're going to get into this.
I've seen Stefano's donation, and I can't read Greek, but I'm pretty sure what's on it. And I just have a question to start the pod tonight. Is Ramon really worse than Ortega?
Yes. I think so, yes.
Did he get to play this amount of games for us?
Ortega's probably getting an assist today, FYI. And he has the only big chance created.
He got the Sergio Busquets prime Messi assist where he just passes the ball less than a meter for a banging goal. So he's got that going for him. Honestly, Martial and I were talking like, Jesus, this guy Ortega has really fallen off here the last week. Really not ideal. Just not ideal. has it. It's like not been great all season, but just rough. Just fucking rough. Both fullbacks, it has to be said. Just horrible. Anyway, can we start like talking about kind of Mendilibar, why he started the way he did? He spoke about it. When I saw the starting 11, I thought I knew exactly why he did it. He started a second striker with Navarro, and he started Masuras as well instead of Fortounis. Adi and I were talking about it. The amount of crosses we sent into the box last week, Thursday, with Maccabi Tel Aviv, and there was just no one on the end of it, or not, just Al-Kabi all alone in the box. It was clear he thought we needed more players in the box when we sent in crosses from the left and right side. So he did that, and Navarro was really bad today. I think we can say the line was a mistake. If he was going to start one of the strikers, I thought Jovetic did quite well on Thursday. I think I would have started with him even instead, but it was just a mistake. The midfield was too open, and Horta and Heze were covering for their lives basically, and it was just a disaster. This game, how do you say that? This game, these past two games have just been like Mendilibar's first game against Ferencváros, like all over again. The midfield is too open. There's too many spaces. The shape is breaking down. There's crosses into nothing. The fullbacks get too far forward. It's so confusing what triggered us to go back to kind of that game when it seemed like we were building something. I don't really understand what has happened. Maybe you guys have some answers, but it's just the formation, the shape, the discipline to stay in position is like non-existent from so many players, and it's so.
I actually have like some idea of why he may have started the way that he did and what the intention was playing with that setup. But before we do, I want to apologize for my internet connection. It's slower than our defensive reactions the past two games, but it seems to be picking up now. I don't know if you guys already kind of contextualized a little bit what was at stake today, but this is a day where we're going into a derby, the mother of all games in Greece, on the club's 99th birthday. And everybody wants to see celebration at the end, joy and passion on the field. That's all we ever ask for as prerequisite, is that the players play with passion. In terms of going into the game, like today is a huge missed opportunity as well, because we've won, 6 games on the trot in Greece. We've put ourselves in a position to actually believe again that we can contend for the title. We've leapfrogged Panathinaikos we've gone from 4th to 3rd by winning the last game and them dropping points at Offi. So we've gone 3rd with them, a point behind us. And this is literally a 6-pointer today against Panathinaikos. We beat them, we leave them in the dust, we look forward, we lose, we go back down to 4th again. And we're right back where we were. So, that's just contextualizing the game before we get into it. What I will say about the 4-4-2 is I told you guys earlier today, like I had a feeling that he was going to possibly start the two of them. Something to do with, taking Al-Kabi off later, believing that we can still do something on Thursday. There were bound to be changes. But you saw the first 20 minutes of the game, we're just hoofing the ball forward. The ball's gone back to Carmo, long ball into Navarro, long ball into El-Kabi. And what's the point? Defenders, they're playing with Arao and this other Turkish guy. Like their main central defenders are all out. And you think, okay, let's put the pressure on their defense. Let's throw the ball forward, try and win those second balls and do what Mendilibar and Spanish coaches like to do, which is press high up, force errors and try and get, the ball in front of goal and take a shot and score. None of that really happened. And then it took a Pedence bit of magic on the left-hand side to open the score, break the deadlock. So, that the tactics completely failed. Whatever approach he was going for, Mendilibar, in the first half, it completely failed in the first half. Some people are saying it's reminiscent of Martinez a little bit, but I wouldn't go that far in terms of looking at where the wingers were. It wasn't quite a 4-2-4, but it failed, and then he didn't correct it at halftime. I thought he could have corrected it immediately at halftime. He didn't, but that's, at least if I'm really trying to think what is he trying to do with that 4-4-2, I think I can understand what he was trying to do. Put the pressure on the opponent, win the second balls, as I said. I think he failed. Simple. There are other questions. Yeah. There are lots of questions. It's like we've seen different things. Like, what is this? We've gone from a team. Sorry. Let me get my flow done. We've seen a team that was playing, I think we'll all admit, like, some good football over the last 6-7 games, like the game away against Ferencvaros. Okay, PAOK, you can say, are on a bit of a dip in form, and we caught them at a good time, but still, you went and banged 4 against them. Like, we saw some movement in midfield. We saw some one-touch football. We saw, Horta and Pedence connecting on the left. We saw the midfield trio working quite well. And then today, it just changes it all of a sudden. Then we're back to pass the ball to Rodinei, and Rodinei runs at everyone, or pass the ball to Fortounis, and Fortounis holds the ball for 20 seconds before he passes it. We're just like regressing back into what we were doing before, when all we could do creatively was give the ball to Rodinei, give the ball to Fortounis, and then hoof the ball forward. And it's back to factory settings, unfortunately. Factory settings being same shit, different day that we've been used to the last couple of years.
There's a comment here from one of the newest contributors and newest members of the Gate 7 International team, Manuel Meza, all the way from Mexico. He's already written a couple blogs for us from Mexico, an Olympiacos supporter, and this is a comment about the Patreon group. We have Yerasimos. I don't know if he's in the chat right now for YouTube. But he's saying, I'm told Yerasimos is meeting the president now. Yerasimos has gone off quite a bit after the match today. But Costa, regarding the questions that we talked about, right? I have a separate issue today. Forget the lineup. Forget the tactics, how much we got it wrong on that end of things. Lambro and I talked about this briefly before we went live. We have a serious problem on the defensive end, not even just the defenders, but on the defensive end with second balls and rebounds. We have a huge problem. If you look at the last 7 goals we conceded, the 3 today and the 4 against Maccabi Tel Aviv, there's some very, very, very big similarities with 6 of the 7 goals. Forget Heze whiffing that ball. In a way that we could talk about that too, because all of our defense is flat-footed. You guys saw the analysis we did on social media yesterday. Well, specifically on X or Twitter or whatever. When Heze whiffs the ball, Banos Retsos is on his heels, standing there. Now, when you're on your heels, it's hard for you to move and turn. And because of that, he loses a step. David Carmo is expecting Heze to clear the ball, stops following Zahavi. Goal goes in. Second goal, there's a block, which then leads to another shot and a goal. Everyone's standing. Second balls and rebounds today, the same thing. It's almost like everybody's expecting somebody else to clear the ball. And that is a huge problem. Everybody is on their heels. That is a huge problem. I didn't see major tactical flaws or issues with why we lost today. I saw major issues on the defensive end with us clearing things out and scrambling and clearing the second ball. Huge problems today with that. Mega huge problems today. And against Maccabi Tel Aviv. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about offensively, but this is a huge effing problem. And I don't remember us dealing with this type of problem before. This is a new problem now that we have to fix, in addition to some of the other problems that we have.
I'd
And there's
argue
no communication. Do you see mouths opening? Is anybody's mouth opening when we're seeing the second ball or the deflection? Is anybody talking? Is anybody saying, I'm going to get this, pick up this man? None. There's nothing. I rewatched every goal in that Maccabi Tel Aviv game. I watched each one about a dozen times. There's no talking.
Who
Big
was the
problem.
captain tonight?
Sorry, Labro.
Masouras. No Fortounis, no Retsos. I think Masouras is the second captain.
Yeah.
But Martial, go ahead.
No, I agree with what Ari said, because on the second goal tonight, for me, it's up to Horta to be closer to Bakasetas. But if you look at the situation again, Horta is expecting Ortega to clear the ball, so he's like walking into the area and is not doing those 2-3 meters to be closer to Bakasetas. And then, of course, Ortega does not clear the ball, and we fucked. And same for the goal in which Pasalakis clears the ball. That has to be the second one. The first Ioannidis goal, probably. You have to be closer than that. It reminds me of a penalty when the keeper makes the save and no one is there to stop the striker to score. And we do have to be better, more efficient in defense anyway, and in attack too, in offensively too, because the Navarro situation is, for me, a major game changer. If he scores that one, probably the momentum goes back on our side. And I don't think Pau was that good to overcame a 2-1 lead. I might be wrong. But on the defensive part, the fact that the center-back pair is changing every game is a major issue for me, because if I remember correctly, our defensive issues probably started when Socrates came and then Manolas, like months after. And we ended up having too many center-backs, and we did not find any center-back pair from that time, a reliable one over more than 1-2 months probably. And now it seems that Carbo is the number one. So the question is, who's the number two along to him? Is it Retsos? Is it Biancone? Is it Abe? Is it Entoy? I don't know. And it comes back to what probably Lambros said earlier about Jovetic. Maybe for me, the only mistake of Mendilibar on the lineup was not to trust inform or players with confidence. Habe has confidence. His first game was good. Maybe it wasn't a big risk to start him tonight. And Jovetic has been more and more used with Mendilibar, and maybe he could have started that game. Who knows? Maybe even El Arabi coming off good entrance, but we will never know anyway. The lineup is always bad when you lose the game.
But there's so many problems to start with. There's so many problems and issues the past two games, just almost childlike issues. What I struggle with is the discipline and positioning from so many of the players. It's just no shape. I've seen Rodinei and Ortega now just be completely caught off up the pitch. No defensive discipline, not tracking back, not running back. I'm so confused. Like, these things are so basic, and the fullbacks are, I think, one of the key sources of the problems. I think it's the midfield. I really think Horta and Eze are covering too much ground. We don't have a stable anchor in the midfield who will be there. Eze can be marking the central defender. He can be marking the left back, and then he's expected to be in front of the defender. I don't understand his positional. I don't understand why they don't tell him just sit here, just fucking sit here, just enough running around. He's a fantastic player, but he's everywhere and everything. They want him to be everything. They want him to be a 6. They want him to press. They want him to do this. They want him to do that. And the guy's a fantastic player, but we need someone to sit in front of the defenders and provide some sort of cover, especially when you have fullbacks like Ortega and Rodinei, who are just bombing up the pitch with no concern about tracking back, and then you're left completely open, and they don't track back with enough urgency, and you're fucked. Go on, Martial.
No, exactly on that point. Maybe it's a game in which Sotiris would have been helpful tonight. I know he has an end product that is an issue probably, but he's running everywhere. He could have been that player to give more energy into the midfield if you play 4-4-2, maybe. Just maybe. I'm just saying that. I might be wrong.
I think that Mendilibar today, because for me, this is probably the first game I'm going to say this is primarily his fault. I think he overestimated our potency or our ability to command the midfield. And when he removed the third person from the midfield, that made things so much more difficult than we thought, because Lambro was reading before we went live. He was reading post-match commentary from Mendilibar. And it was very clear to see why we played the two strikers today. It was because in the last couple of games under Mendilibar, we've been crossing the ball over 30 times a game, but we have nobody on the other end of the crosses. So his idea was play two strikers. Somebody will connect with one of those crosses. But at the same time, when you do that, you put the extra man up front. You took away a man from the midfield. You took away an extra person there that we needed. And you know what? In the end, maybe the struggles today, the reasons we ate the goals weren't because we had the third man there. It was other aspects of the game. But I surely think it meant a lot of why we were losing possession a lot during the course of the game. We need that third person in the midfield. And for a coach that never changes his scheme, almost never, it was very uncharacteristic for me when I saw that today, to change from 4-4-2, 4-3-3. When I did the analysis on him, I almost never saw a change. Very rare. And it wasn't worth it in the end. It was a very bad gamble to make, and he got it wrong. But for me, what we see today is that we need a clogged midfield to do anything. We need it. Look, even when we clogged the midfield against Maccabi, we had problems. Now, you don't have it there? Forget about it. Forget about it. Are we going to pray and hope for crosses and endless crosses and hope to God that we have somebody that's going to finish them when neither one of our strikers can finish clinically? No, can't do that. Not at all.
No, I honestly think you need someone in the middle. You need a six. The team is yelling for a six. And the problem today, again, with the fullbacks for me, they were playing like there was a three-man midfield. Rodinei was pushing too far up, and there was no cover behind him because you have Horta who drifts forward. He likes to move a bit further forward, and you're fucked. You're fucked at that point. And it's basic discipline. Like Rodinei needs to have positional discipline to understand that there's only a two-man midfield. You can't just bomb up the pitch, and that's where you need. He's not the solution, but you need like an Ibora to be in the six there. Like, I don't think any of us want to see Ibora starting, but I think you understand the concept. You want a player. You need some balance. Maybe? You need not Kamara, but you want, because
you can't erase the fact that even if we're all pissed by Madi Kamara, you can't just erase a player like that from 1 to 0. I don't know if it makes sense what I mean, but
yeah.
We've erased him.
He erased himself, man.
Yeah, but what about Masuras captaining a club when he agreed with Bochum? We all know he's going to Germany anyway.
I don't disagree with you. I think there's blame to go around on the Madi Kamara issue, including on himself and on the club. But
it could be useful coming in. But I'm not saying to start Madi, because he has been very average since the beginning of the season. But the truth is, if you're not able to replace him on the winter market, just sell him or use him anyway. I don't know. You can't really have someone out of the mission like that.
But it's not even the profile. Like what I'm arguing is not a profile like Mara Camara. Like I'm arguing for a profile like Envia Samuseku or even fucking Bukhalakis, who you have a constant, as shit as some of these players are and how mad people think some of these, they were a constant presence that the defenders knew, okay, I knew where I can distribute to this person. I knew they would be here. We do not have that. The pairing switch every game. And then the people in front of them, they can look up and Heze is pressing the striker and the ball is coming down towards them through the attack. They don't have anyone covering them. Horta is here. Heze is there. Rodinei is walking back. I wouldn't want to be a defender. Like as shit as Carmo or Biancone and now Rezos have been, I don't understand how they can do their job properly, like in this position. This team almost reminds me of the Mustafi era Arsenal, like the past 2 games, like some of the things you say, like the defending and the midfield just being non-existent. It's like it was that Arsenal team that was going through this transition to what they are now, and you see Mustafi and bullshit, and I can't believe my eyes sometimes when I just see players just walking back, and it's not sustainable. It's completely not sustainable.
No, I agree with you. And one of the things regarding Heze that I've been a little bit kind of at ends with since Mendilibar came here is how he uses Heze. Because remember, when Martinez was here, Heze was sitting in front of the defense most of the time. He was the one that was that pivot point in between them and the midfield. And in the beginning, when he was playing really well, he's cutting a lot of these balls, stopping these transitions. Now, we look at where Heze's been, and I'm looking at his heat maps right now. He's on the right side. He's basically over there covering for Rodinei most of the time. He's not central. You know who's drifting central more? Chiquinho. Is Chiquinho more of a 6? No, of course not. But this is where I guess Mendilibar has decided he prefers Heze to be. He wants him to roam around, cover Rodinei. I think maybe he's asking of him too much. I don't know. I disagree with that role that Heze is in currently. I think we are. I don't know. I think maybe we're asking a little bit too much of them, as important as they've been for us. And I think that we need to go back to saying, look, Heze, you have to sit right in front of the defense. You're going to do this. Chiquinho and Horta, you guys you're going to get forward more. Chiquinho, maybe you have to pivot more, stay box to box, but maybe, well, I don't know. But for me, at least, we cannot move forward without packing the midfield. That's very clear to me. We have to pack this midfield. We have to. There's no choice. You saw it today, 100%. And Lambro did.
One thing. If we're gonna pack the midfield, we got to stop with the endless crossing as well.
Like, oh yeah.
Because we can't cross the ball into a box with just El Kabi in it 30 times a game. That was the idea with the Navarro. It's like, well, we're crossing the ball and there's no one there. Let's give some support to, and that happened a few times. We had an overload, there was a cross and it would come out. Podense would recover from a Rodinei cross or something. But we cannot play like we did with Maccabi Tel Aviv into the attack, just sending the ball over and over into the box, with maybe Horta making a run and El Kabi being the main focal point of your attack. So if we're going to move forward with the 4-3-3, which is the path, I believe, I think we can all agree on that. The 4-3-3 system is the path forward. We need to figure out another way to break teams down, because the crossing is not working either. We don't have like I don't know if you guys saw the game with Dynamo Zagreb, like that Petkovic guy, the massive Croatian guy for Dynamo. Like, we don't have that profile, so we can't play this way. So anyway,
yeah.
Costa, I think you wanted to say something.
Real quick, guys, also before we continue on this line of discussion, don't forget we're 30 minutes in. We have hundreds of people that are actively listening to us right now. I actually think that this is the most of a current live audience that we've had ever in this show. So if you're sitting in here, you don't subscribe to us already, take the time to do so. If you like what you hear, this community is growing day by day by day. We meet new red and white fans. We've fostered a wonderful community here of Olympiacos fans, not just in Greece, but outside of Greece as well. So take a quick second, give us a like, help us continue to find more red white fans, and let's make this lobby even bigger than it already is. Going back to the discussion, Costa, you had something?
Yeah, maybe just closing the loop on this whole defensive discussion. It's really schoolboy defending that we've seen the last two games. Just ball watching, bad positioning, and Ari, you said earlier that it's a new problem that's identified, but to me, it's really exactly the same as what we had last season, in a sense that we don't have that defensive partnership established. The last central defense partnership that we had, the proper one, was Semedo and Bar. Probably that's how far back you need to go. And, when you've got a problem like that, when you know that you have a problem in your defense, when there's imbalance, when there's a lack of confidence, where there's lack of chemistry, then you need to protect it. And that's what you guys have been talking about as well. Last year, it was Samaseku, Inigo putting Samaseku in that role in the last few games that essentially ensured that we got a European spot. This year, we don't have a Samaseku. And that's quite worrying. I have to say that today's game as well, it really makes me question whether this coach is the right person to take us into next season. And yeah, it's easy to say that after two disappointing results, but we've eaten 7 goals at home tonight and on Thursday. It's interesting how, when we were going through this hot streak, he was asked, the fans are expecting a title now. What do you have to say about that? And he said something like that I appreciated. He said, when we win, we shouldn't get overconfident. When we lose, we shouldn't be too low. Today, I felt like there was a sense of overconfidence going into the game. Like, this will get the result one way or another. And we weren't very far off another 4-1 result tonight, guys. And just the lack of ideas and this regression into what we've been talking about, give the ball to Rodinei, cross it in, give the ball to Fortounis, cross it in. There's I don't know. Like I have serious questions. I'm going to say it now.
He made his own grave. Not, this is going to sound weird, but by playing and getting the results so well, by taking 4-1, he has set the expectations so high with this fan base that has, that runs away with things where people say, well, he won 7 games out of 7. Now he's lost 2 straight. We know he could, you know what I mean? He doing so well out of the gates and getting such great results may be the thing that kills him, because people think, well, you know what?
He gets caught up. He gets caught up in the Greek mentality, like when
Completely.
they're like super high after a victory and then like super low after a bad result. It's hard. It's hard to get into that mentality and be able to like deal with it effectively.
He hasn't. We forget he didn't even. He wasn't here in January. He didn't sign any players. This guy may have been like, fuck, I need a 6 so bad. And he showed up and he realized, I have no fucking 6 here. I have to play this way. I have to do this. Who knows what he's thinking? And this 4-3-3 formation that we're talking about, the Paskalakis, Rodinei, Carmo, whoever, Ortega, Chiquinho, Heze, Horta, Podense, Fortounis, whatever, worked pretty well. Like we were here saying, like, okay, this could be the thing. But there were signs we were starting to stutter and run out of ideas. Like those games with Panathinaikos, at the end of the regular season, and you're starting to get concerned with us going down 1-0. Like we returned it, we won, and we were just like, okay, the 3 points, all that matters. But the signs and cracks were kind of there at the end of the regular season. if we want to say that. But
Can I just raise like one last point that comes to mind seeing some of these comments? Like I think this is a new subscriber, Ellie. Thanks for joining, mate. Should we call up the Costulas brothers? And then there's some other comments here that I just want to tie together. Again, same from Ellie. We can't give up on coaches anymore. Nobody good will want to come here. And Nico says Mendilibar doesn't have his players. It's been a packed schedule. Players are tired, so we need to put faith in the manager. I'm going to say this. It's the club that needs to define the way forward and define a strategy. It's not the manager. It's not like every manager that we bring into the club is going to want maybe one or two players that he knows, and he might make a recommendation, say, that player's good, and we don't have a 6, and Pablo Obias is really good. And Pablo Obias was really fucking good, by the way, when Valverde brought him in. But that has to stop. It has to stop. Like the club has to have a strategy for integrating a Costulas or a Mouzakitis or a Koutsidis or whoever. It's the club. It's the club that has to tell ex-manager that I want Costulas and his brother and Mouzakitis and whoever to be integrated into first team trainings. I want you to take them to Austria and I want you to integrate them. If it's not the club telling the manager, is not going to happen, because each Mendilibar or each Janssen or each whoever is going to come here and say, oh my God, the pressure is ridiculous here. I have to get results. I don't have time to play these players. And that's what I have to say on this issue of like the under 19s and, they play with passion and our guys don't. It's the club. It's the club that has to set the direction, not the manager.
You're not wrong. There's one player I wonder maybe we haven't brought up a lot, and we haven't talked about him. And he's recently renewed now with the club, and it's our goalkeeper, Paschalakis. How much of what's going on do we attribute to him? Because we've conceded since Mendilibar's arrived. We have now conceded 7 goals. So 7, not including today. So 10 goals. We've now conceded 10 goals since Mendilibar arrived. Are any of those 10 goals attributed to Paschalakis? I ask this for a reason. Before the game today, the 7 goals we conceded before that, when I looked at some of the situations again, I thought a couple of them were savable. And then I looked at Y-Scout's reference with expected conceded goals, and 7 goals Paschalakis conceded before today, with an XCG, expected conceded goals, of 4.7. So now today, I'm going to tell you Panathinaikos is probably like a 1.2 XG, and we conceded 3. So that's going to put Paschalakis at 10 conceded with under 6 XCG. So how much of what we're seeing does Paschalakis also take a little bit of responsibility for? Has he not been that good? Because I know a lot of people have been very happy, and I think that he does give us stability. We need a goalkeeper, a veteran one at least, until we blood Solakis, if that ever happens. But I think he's also not been good. Yeah. And maybe a Vachlik of the past, or save some of these shots that you see. But does Paschalakis have any responsibility for the 10 goals we've now eaten?
Let Martial go in. Martial has a strong opinion on this. I'll go.
I don't think he has direct responsibility on that. But when your defense is so weak, you need to have a goalkeeper that makes miraculous saves from time to time. And I remember Vaclik, before his body gave up, he made those miraculous saves on some games. Like the defense was nowhere to be seen. And Vaclik was there to save 1 versus 1 against the striker, an header. It was like that until the summer, in which he conceded that cross against Haifa that kind of sealed the whole club situation. But Paschalakis, for me, is not the kind of keeper you need when you have to make a comeback like we have to do in the Greek League, and also when you want to make a good run in Europe. It's not bad, but it does not have that extra, I don't know, extra ability to make saves. And that second goal of Panathinaikos, he has to save it otherwise than that night, because I don't know. And the thing is, he's renewed now. He has a pretty high salary. So do you pay a guy like that to be the backup? Answer is no for me. You don't give close to 1 million per year to your backup. And you're going to lose Solakis because he's going to leave probably. So you ended up with another issue that should have been solved earlier. But the thing is, I don't have a really, my opinion is, I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's good either. So I'm not asking for the club to let him go, but it just can't be a starter for me.
I think Eli hits the nail on the head here with Pascalix is not bad, but he's not great either. I think that's my opinion of the player, to be honest. So I don't know. Sometimes I don't think he's of the level of someone, if you want to play, if what you want is to compete for titles in Greece and play in the round of 16 beyond in Europe, I don't think Pascalix is good enough goalkeeper for those sort of ambitions. Personally,
it's still better than keepers, and even Kotarski is not that great too for PAOK. So maybe it's not that big of an issue, but it's a small piece of it.
Yeah, I
bring this up because I wanted to do, like, last week. I remember telling Costa I wanted to, like, we hadn't done anything about Pascalakis, and I was curious. I wanted to see if we could do a graphic, and I'm looking at his data, and I was like, man, it's really not that good. And I compared it to last year because I was like, maybe it's just me, and it's worse compared to last year. And then I start looking at him compared to, like, the other goalkeepers, like for Panathinaikos, I even looked at Adis. I looked at Cuesta. I looked at everybody, and it's worse. Like, he's like, just his data is actually worse than, like, all of the top keepers. Or the only keeper I think he looks better than on paper is Lamias, if we're comparing just playoff teams. That's the only reason I wanted to bring this up, because I haven't seen anybody talk about Pascalakis, and I certainly don't blame him for most of the goals. But when I look at this and I see, well, wait a minute. I mean, we should be doing better in this regard. There's some goals that maybe he can save. So I was just curious if maybe some of this is also him too. Not that I don't want to take anything away, of course, from our defensive woes, because that for sure is it. But a defense is coordinated many times by your goalie, right? Your goalkeeper. I mean, he has to have a part.
Let me play devil's advocate.
Go.
So if you look at all the goals that we've conceded, almost all of the goals that we conceded the last two games, you look at our central defenders and where the attackers are. Our central defenders are like this. Right. And for those that are listening on audio, I'm just standing and looking around. That's what our central defense, like all of our central defenders, the goals that we concede, they're just standing there. So what do you want the keeper to do? Yeah, he could have done better today when he palmed the second goal and it went into Ioannidis' feet on the side. But, where was Biancon? Why wasn't he marking tight? Why didn't he step up? Why didn't he coordinate with Carmo to step up and play him offside? What was he doing?
The thing is, sometimes
what was Letos doing on the first goal after the ball went through Hez's left? Just
watching
the ball roll by into Zahavi's feet.
But I agree with what Ali said at the end, because sometimes I do believe that Pascalakis, it looks like he's playing on his own, like does not really belong into the team. Like he's not really leading the defense as a goalkeeper should be for me. But I might be wrong, because I'm not on the pitch. I'm not hearing what he can say to the defenders. But if we have so many positioning issue, at some point he has to take some part of that job to correct that, because he has been playing good level football even in the national team, And I don't know if we're struggling so much with positioning. He's seeing Red Source on a daily basis at trainings, and we all been wondering why the defense is so poor. But Paschalakis, for me, is not to be blamed equally as a defender, but he has to be integrated into that debate, because if the positioning is not bad, is bad, sorry, well, it's because the keeper belongs to that discussion for me.
Yeah, but and we all know who the guy is. Like, you can watch like the Betarades interview of him. Like, the guy is a clown. You know, he's like a class clown. Like, that's not to be mean to him, but you know, like, he jokes. He's not
eccentric.
He's like not a deeply serious person. Like, he is not your captain and leader. Like, he's good for the locker room. He's happy, but he's not going to be the one like who's like I don't see him as like the leader of the back line yelling at Red Source. Like, I don't see that. I don't see that personally. And I also think this disconnect that Martial talks about, there's so many times where the ball is just circulating, and when it goes back to him, he's so deep. Like, he's just scared to come up and play even the simple passes. And that really disrupts the flow of the distribution of the ball, because he is so, instead of coming up and just playing a simple pass or just being an outlet, he's all the way back at his goal. He is afraid to come out, and he's obviously not very good with his feet. That we've known that for years. But it's one more issue in modern football. And he's another player who's just not a leader. He's not a leader on the pitch. You know, and we have too many followers right now at the club. And, you know, it would be great to have someone who could organize the team and tell Rodinei to stop being a moron, man. This guy Rodinei. Can we talk about that as well? Like, everyone in this fan base seems to love this guy for his brilliant attacking, but Jesus Christ, has he destroyed us this week? Like, just horrific defending, and just absolutely destroyed a lot of what we've built. Like, it's horrific positioning, losing the ball, just inability to track back, laziness, just has fucked us so hard, man.
Is it laziness, or has he been run into the ground as well, man?
No Keeney, that's another thing. Like, we brought in fullbacks who can't play, like Omar Richards and Keeney, man. Like, we have no backup. So maybe that's the issue. And maybe this is a thing, no one has touched on it yet. We're going into the international break. Maybe these guys get a reset. Mendilibar is like, okay, calm down. We can work some things out, and that we see something else. Like, maybe that's like the only hope I'm holding out for the rest of the season, is that we get that long international break. Mendilibar, a lot of the players are staying. David Carmo, you would hope Retsos doesn't go to the Greek national team. May go. Rodinei's not going anywhere. Ortega, I don't think is going anywhere. You kind of want to keep those guys, and you need to try to figure something out. That's like the only hope we have. You know, that's the only hope we have. So it's just because I don't know what the fullbacks for me are one of the biggest problems. The positioning and lack of discipline. I think a lot of the goals we've conceded has stemmed from that. So
I think this comment is very,
very talented individuals as well. Like, if you compare the talent levels to Maccabi Tel Aviv, to Panathinaikos, we have very talented footballers, like, who have played abroad and done very well. But there's no team. Maccabi Tel Aviv is a beautifully run team. Like, everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone knows their role. Everyone knows their position. And we don't have that. It's like a massive free-for-all out there at times. And it's a disaster. But anyway.
Sorry, I don't know if there was a follow-up point, but this comment from Nikos says, I don't think it's laziness. He plays 90 minutes, and every game he's been our best player this season. If I had to ask each of you, who do you think's been our best player this season? Who would it be?
I'm going to be honest with you. There's like multiple answers for me for that question, depending on what you consider.
You can't look at data, Ari. Just what immediately the first name that comes to mind, because one's not coming to me. Like, for example, if I had to tell you like who our best player is this season, like, and I'm thinking about it, I don't have like one player that's really like coming to the forefront of my mind right now. Really,
The one
Really
that
did.
hasn't been super low has to be Pachalakis for me.
For me, it's El Capi, guys. He scored over 20 goals this season. He scored in Europe. He scored in the league. Like, I know he's shit and loses a lot of chances. He scored 2 goals in Tumba. He scored every important goal. He has been the fucking guy who scored the goals. So, as shit as he's been, look at Navarro, man. Look how tragic that guy is,
Everybody in the chat, 326 of you, by the way, more than 330 in the chat right now and only 39 likes. Before you do anything, please hit that like button. It takes half a second and it really helps us to increase the popularity of the channel and find more Olympiacos fans around the world. So if you haven't done that already, please do that right away. If you're listening to us and you want to get involved, subscribe as well, hit the bell. Let us know who you think the best player Olympiacos has had this season.
And a lot of people, I should say, are listening on Twitter. For those of you listening on Twitter, it's much easier to comment and engage with us on YouTube. Just search our name or link is in the bio of our account. So hop on over to YouTube. It'll be a much more enjoyable experience. Anyway.
Look, if we're talking, here's my point, because I have 2 names that come to mind. If we're talking goal contributions, right? There's one player that by far and away has the most goal contributions on the team. Martial's laughing because he knows who it is. So if that's the barometer, it's Kostas Fortounis by far. But I don't put him as right now as my best player in the season, because I look at when in every game, who is most consistently putting us into positions to get into great scoring positions and to help us do something, especially when we're playing super tragic and we are playing dog shit. Who's the guy that we look to make things happen, right? Now, I already see some people bringing up Podence, and it's not Podence, not consistently. Podence was absent for 2 months, but there's one player that puts us into those positions almost every game, and his name is Rodinei. That's the truth of it. As bad defensively as he may be, because he got beat like a drum by Nilsson against Maccabi. I mean, that's the truth. But every game, when you think of scoring opportunities that we have, Rodinei is behind 1 or 2 of them, almost always. So if we're thinking of this in a way that is less, what's the word I'm looking for? Like maybe like less material. If we're not looking for a specific number or a specific thing, we're just looking for somebody that is doing a lot of things that actually, and we look to for a lot, that we rely on for things. It's Rodinei. But if we're looking at who's the guy that's been scoring the most, El Cabi's over 20 goals. But El Cabi, if we're going season long, is one of the most wasteful. Of the top scorers in the Greek Super League, he has the worst goal conversion, the least efficient. Does El Cabi score without the production to him? Absolutely not. But he does have 22 goals, but he doesn't make it for me as the best player.
And I'm surprised that none of you are saying this is a name that I think this season would be worse than last season if we didn't have Heze this season. How fucked would this club be? Like, without Heze, where would we be right now without that guy? That guy he's a fucking good footballer, man. Like, regardless of the situation, every game he shows up, every game he's running. Like, maybe it's just me. Like, if this guy was in a better midfield, man, like, he's a really nice player. Martial, do you have an opinion on this?
No, yeah, I agree with you. Is the most consistent player, and along to Pachalakis, because as much as I don't believe Pachalakis is good enough to be someone that leads us into the title, I don't remember a game in which it was super poor, like with a very bad mistake leading to a goal, like committing a foul. I don't know, just doing what Sa did with Odegaard back in time, concerning a goal. That makes no sense. So it has to be the most consistent player, and Heze for me would be the best player, because if he's out, or some good part of the tactical system falls down. Like,
yeah,
he's too important for the team. So for me, he has to be the best player. because
a very good
this
shot.
guy
I like
is gonna be sold or gonna go elsewhere easily.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you have so many people here that don't value his contribution because he's not the one playing the ball into the penalty area. They ignore the fact that he has the data point I gave last time was the most passes to the final third. He progresses the ball right now. Without Mari Camara in the team, he's progressing the ball the most into the final third, which is remarkable. But
Also,
I mean, I like that shout.
Also, when I see Heze playing, I remember the amount of goals Guilherme was scoring. I remember the fact he came into the first post during corners, and how hard is that for the team to replace? Like Guilherme, when he left, I wasn't expecting the team to struggle so much to replace him.
Yeah.
Guilherme.
Oh.
It just made me realize, like, in the past few months, how good this guy was. It was good and consistent, like scoring goals, key passes, like it was doing everything.
But even the fucking corners and set pieces of Valbuena, Jesus Christ, we've gone through Fortounis now, who has been tragic on the set pieces now for months, and you even have Horta, who's considered quite technical, good player. But Jesus
and
Christ,
a set piece guy too. He did all the set pieces for Braga.
But and then you think about Valbuena's crosses, and Jesus Christ, man, like we were so lucky to have that for so long. We scored.
Valbuena wasn't crossing; it was passing the ball. That's a difference.
Exactly onto people's
That's a
head.
huge difference.
It's true.
I don't know. It might be bullshit, but for me, he passes the ball rather than crosses it. Because when you cross it, it's super easy to cross. You just have to. It's basically a shoot toward the area. But Valbuena, he knew exactly what the striker was about to do, where it was about to be. It was easier with El Arabi, of course, but remember that goal against Panathinaikos, the one with El Arabi in first touch. And even the Kutris crosses to Guerrero when we played against Panathinaikos at Oaxaca.
Yeah.
What happened to like the funny, tricky corners and set pieces we had the first like two games? Remember against Ferencváros, we were seeing
the first game. The first game. Do you remember how bad do you remember they had like two guys in the box? You remember there was a disaster. Was it the first game of Ferencváros? It was like they didn't train when Mendy Libar, he like forgot about set pieces, and there was like two guys in the box for corners. But then after that they worked on it, and there was like something there.
Did we stop?
I don't know.
What happened? I was so excited after that second leg. Ferencváros was like, man, we haven't seen this ever. And now it's like we went back. We're just like, no, forget it. It didn't pay off, so we're not doing this again. I don't know.
Well, this is a can of worms.
Are we going to do the Fortounis talk right now, really?
Of course, I know you put that up on the...
I feel like we need a separate segment on this. Or I also feel like we talk about this almost every show.
Yeah, that's true.
Almost, yeah.
But it's frustrating not to see Olympiacos with Podense only and Olympiacos with Fortounis only. Like the two together in the same season does not work for me. Imagine if Mendilibar had to choose between Podense and the rest, or between Fortounis and the rest. Fortounis could have been playing like Bernat tonight, but both together, it's not possible.
I don't want to rehash like the same discussions that we have about Fortounis, whether Fortounis, I love him because he's Greek and because he's from the club, and I'm bad because I want Fortounis to leave. But look at how things are on the field. The guy's never played in his natural position all season, right? So if we're not using him where he's most effective, then he's more of a problem than he is a use. And I've said it before that I think he's basically burnt himself out from the start of the season where he was carrying us, and not forgetting that the guy's got 2 ACLs that he's carrying as well. And you can see that he can't cross the ball past the near post when he's taking a set piece. It doesn't have the legs. And if you're going to play him, for me, play him where he's most effective. Play him as a 10. It's no use for me or the team. It doesn't do us any favors when you set him up on the right. And even when he's out on the left, he gets the ball. He's never there. He's never there. And then we talk about Rodinei being exposed and like that whole flank and Heze needing to come and fill in. It's because Fortounis isn't a player that plays on the touchline. He's always looking to get the ball in the center. So it destroys your shape. And it's something that opponents exploit week in, week out. Or not even that, the last 2 games. You know he's not there, and you know that the wing back's isolated because both our wingers, they don't track back. So that's for me why Fortounis becomes a problem. Without getting into the whole conversation about whether or not we should renew him or not. Again, it's a question of strategy. It's a question of what does the management want? Is the management going to tell him you're important, you're going to be a first team player week in, week out? Or are they going to say, look, mate, you're going into your 30s. We really appreciate you. We think that you can help the club like in a role that's a little bit different from what you've become used to. You need to have a mature conversation.
Yes.
It's very Ronaldo coming back to United vibes, says Concept Calcio. And it's very fucking James Rodriguez last season vibes also.
No.
Yes. It was the same thing about the walking and the body a bit broken down, but like they produced moments of magic and things like that. But the frustrating thing for me, I think Martial touched on it, like Bernard is 32 years old, a finished footballer, you know, whatever. This guy tracks back. He gets stuck in. Like his contract is up at the end of the season. He's already agreed to leave. And the passion he plays with, Podense is in his prime as a 27-year-old. And the fucking guy can't be asked to track back. It's just...
But I don't think
unbelievable.
It's tracked back that much tonight.
But when he did, he gets stuck in. He got in, you know, and he's part of the buildup. You know, I never really rated Bernard a ton, but I think he was excellent tonight. He's been really good the past few weeks for Panathinaikos, and it's just so disappointing for us, you know, seeing Fortounis, seeing Podense not track back, I don't know what the deal is with Podense. I also saw, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he posted an Instagram story of his goal, like celebrating it. It's like, fuck off, man. Like, no one cares. No one cares.
He has no great title, man. He has no great title officially.
He got one for the season. He left early, I think, though, as a participant. Yeah, but
I heard
how many
this
titles does this guy have?
I've been seeing this a lot from people. Southpaw saying Fortounis looked xenero menos on the pitch. Don't know if you were at the pitch, mate, but yeah, I heard that from other people today as well.
Translate that for the
xenero menos. It just looked like he didn't want to be there, or he had a shit attitude.
Yeah. He's also Martial. I think maybe since we're over an hour here and we're going round and round and we are beating things dead, what are you guys' thoughts on this idea of Martial just like fucking burn the dead bodies? You know, like so many of these guys are like the plague, man. They're stink. You know, they've lived so many 4-0, 5-0 bullshits. Like, fuck them. You know, just like let's go new. You know what I mean? How do you know, the expiring contracts we know, like Fortounis, Masuras, etc., and just saying like, thank you for the memories. Fuck off. We're gonna try to rebuild something from the start. Like, what do you guys think about that whole idea? It's just like these guys are too toxic. They lived through too many shitty memories. Like we're done with them. You know, like their mentality is too fucked. You know, I'm intrigued, but I'm also, I don't think it's plausible. You know, it's one of those. So Costa, you want to talk about that?
I'm not.
That's Costa, you want to like jump in a river with cement on? There you go.
if we're taking a step back and looking at things, like 6 wins, 2 losses, right? Since Mendilibar arrived, right?
Season was
And we're
dead, man. People were like crying, setting up shop. Like even club officials were on the verge of being like, "We're finished. We're fucked." And then like this guy showed up, and the expectations went to the sky again. So
right. And
good
but
point.
even so, we're what, 5 because Bog lost today, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they lose? So
We're 5 points from the top.
so that puts us -5. If we were -11 or -12, I then maybe I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But Mendilibar came in, like this is the first negative rut we've had since Carvajal left. You know what I mean? It was bound to happen, and the return to earth hit hard. It's now hitting really hard. So I'm not at that point yet, but I mean, I am starting to get a little worried because okay, the Maccabi Tel Aviv game, I worried that momentum would carry into the game today, and in a way, it did. Like if we're looking at the sequence of events in the game today, like our goal came against the run of play. Panathinaikos was the better team until we scored against the run of play. We scored, but then we started to get better after that goal. But then all it took was that terrible defensive rebound issue to pop up. They tied it up, and then all of a sudden, it's back. The more goals came. The same mistakes kept happening, and they grew back into the game again. Mendilibar has to find out how to fix this. I'm not expecting a miracle against Maccabi this week, right? We have a long break, but I will feel better at least if the players show up and they at least make a good showing. I don't think anything's happening. I don't think we're turning around a 3-goal deficit in Europe. But if they come back and they make a really good showing at the very least against Maccabi Tel Aviv and make it close, then that positive mentality can be brought into the break. But if we shit the bed and we get pumped by Maccabi Tel Aviv in that leg, and we carry that through the international break, then all that hope that we got, all the hope that we had coming in, just it's back to you know what, that's it. And that I was so worried about this because this feels so much worse than if we had continued to be shit like we were under Carvajal, because there was hope, man. We were looking better, nice win streak. We had made it to the round of 16 of Conference League, and we had a chance to like really make something out of what was a dog shit campaign so far. And now it's beginning to look like it was just a flash in the pan. And I really don't want that to be the case. So I really am hoping that we can at least make a good showing and carry that over. So
the thing is, we both need to get rid of players that have been suffering too many losses, because it's exactly what Paris is facing in Champions League. That it's funny because when they won in Real Sociedad, that was the first time Marquinhos wasn't playing for them in defense since I don't remember since how long, but those players, they have been living too many setbacks and big games losses that it affects them. It affects us as fans. So imagine what it does on players. And I'm not speaking about foreigners or loanees that don't really care about the club, but I'm speaking about Masuras, Retzos, even Fortounis, those players like that. And do you really believe Retzos will be able someday to step up and be a super defender for Olympiacos? I don't believe so, because he already has been playing too many big games and lost most of them. Masuras is going to end his Olympiacos massive and very good stint very poorly. I can see it. It's going to be shit for the last 10 games he has to play, and it will be an end that he does not deserve. And being afraid to fully replace player should not be the way to run a club. Even if we know that Olympiacos will do it no matter what, you have to be to take, I don't know how to say that, You have to anticipate, and there is nothing to build with players that are used to lose, in my opinion. Either it's Olympiacos, Real Madrid, Marseille, I don't know, local club. It's the same psychology.
And it's almost time like Olympiacos needs a new generation of Greek players. Maybe like this is it.
Better
This
Greek
is the
players.
end. Like maybe it's time to go on the market. When we go on the market this summer and we go and we try to pitch some of the players that play abroad, because maybe it's time to refresh. It feels like
you put 4 million on Ortega, and I will never be convinced that someone that Lykoyanis would have said no to Olympiacos. He would have said no probably 3 times, but not 5 times, 10 times if you convinces him that he will be the starter of the team with a good salary, playing Europe. He's playing in Cagliari. He's not playing for Real Madrid.
And talk about a good set piece taker as well.
Was it poorly taken care of when he was in Olympiacos? Yes, probably. I wasn't following the club that much at that time, so you guys.
But every Greek player will tell you. Every Greek player that goes on Betarades was like, "Look, it's a long story. I got fucked by Olympiacos." Yeah. Like every single one of them, they're like, "What happened at Olympiacos?" And like every single one of them's like, "Well, look, I just, I was showering one day and I got stabbed in the back 100 times. So it was a bit tough, some bad blood there, but every time they go abroad, they're like, can we ask you about your time at Olympiacos?" Like Manoli Siopis, like, yeah, so I broke my ankle in 4 places and then they broke it again. But, there's no bad love lost. Like, and it's just like horror story after horror story. Like every Greek player that's ever made
spoke about a number 6.
Go.
Who, a part of Siopis, would have been the better suit for Olympiacos than this guy?
It would have been a good signing. But it sometimes when I think, we need to sign a Greek player, I don't think Greek players have a good opinion about Olympiacos. Just reading the tea leaves when you...
And people think you can convince Solis to come back to Greece. No, it's not possible. And I take credit because I wanted for the club to go for Limnios, but he hasn't been doing shit for Olympiacos, for Panathinaikos.
So now we need a new generation, either through the market or you bring in Kalogeropoulos, you try to bring in, I don't know, Kyriakopoulos hasn't played much in Italy this season.
What Greek players are you going to bring in from the market? Any good Greek player who costs money. They cost a lot of money that we're not going to give for a Greek player.
Koulouris is clear of Navarro if he has to be the third striker.
And also, the thing is, Panathinaikos did it. Like, fucking Bakasetas was probably a good signing for the next, 3 or 4 years, He's the captain of the national team. Like, Adi wants to kill me right now, but, he's well-liked by the other Greek players in the team. Like, it's good for recruitment. It's good for PR, maybe it's a shit signing, whatever. But, that's a big move to bring in the captain. If this Greece team goes to the Euros in March,
we have to stop thinking about good Greek players. It's useful Greek players you can buy.
Yeah.
Gutas on the free, useful. Koutris to stay at the club, useful. Koulouris, that is a very average striker, more useful than Navarro in January.
Yeah,
we can't sign Giacomakis. We can't sign Pavlidis.
No, Pavlidis, that's out of our.
Then why don't you use we're talking about one of the most talented crop of youth team setups that we've had for generations.
That's right.
And we're talking about signing Koulouris and Gutas, and I know they're just examples, but I fail to understand why we don't. It's the same concept. It's that if we sign Koulouris or if we sign Gutas and we're not doing well, the first ones that will eat it are Koulouris and Gutas. Actually, more than the youngsters that we have. An Olympiacos fan is probably more likely to stick by a youth team player than to stick by a Gutas or a Koulouris type player.
I agree with you, but we are not doing any of this.
Exactly. No,
Not the great players.
We're not going to
but the-
sign. We're not going to play youth team players. We're not going to, But
I think
let's just say, go ahead.
Panathinaikos Vlachodimos just came back from his ACL injury, ready to come back to prove that he's better than Ronaldo himself.
Anyway,
few more step overs.
I think
Also,
this
I think-
generation of our Greek talent is probably
The
it's
last
time
hope.
to refresh. Is that fair to say? Like it's time to
I think they're playing this week, by the way.
Yeah,
Greece.
that's the last hope for me. Like that's the
Also, it would be fantastic if we had some Greek players who played in a final. Like I feel like Maniatis was not a star player, but he played in like World Cups and played in Euros. That's like kind of important for players. They play higher level. It would be good for the Greek national team to go to a fucking tournament.
yes, and that's why I think that we had that chat on the Patreon group on WhatsApp about the Greek core, because when you look at the Greek core of Olympiacos, the best Greek player of this Greek core is Fortounis, because he has been with the national team on big tournaments. But apart of that, Masoud has no big tournament. Paschalakis has no big tournament. Alexandropoulos has no big tournament. Retsos too. And when you
Retsos, I
face,
remember again.
you mentioned,
that was their last hope.
yeah, you mentioned
ago.
the Zagreb striker, which is I forgot his name.
Petkovic.
Yeah, but the Croatian core of Zagreb is so ahead of even the Greek core of power, because Croatian national team is super good, and Zagreb for me is the model which we should chase, because not all of their Croatian players are made at the club. Like Petkovic probably came from abroad, and they came back to the country in a good club, and then they go back elsewhere.
There's some
Like
fucked up
Livaja,
shit
for
in
example.
Croatia as well, like with Hajduk split, and if you want to go down a wormhole of fucked up, corrupt stuff, Dynamo Zagreb, their fans, Hajduk split, like it's really messed up. Like some of it's like the government is really interlinked there with Dynamo Zagreb. Like it is not as basic as like we think from abroad. That's what I understand from Croatian friends. So I don't want to I don't think we can replicate that model, because I think Zagreb, the national team, the youth setup of the national team are like this, where they like suck everything up and just destroy everything else. So it's a bit different. But
also, I'll be honest with you, like if we're talking about our youth, at least the rest of this season, the last thing I want to do with like Babis Kostoulas or any of the other players, the promising ones, whether they're in the B team or in the U19s, the last thing that I would want to do right now is to subject them to what's going on in this national team. Like Lambro, you talked about like, hey, regarding mentality, like we have people here that have just been getting used to getting drubbed in Greece or in Europe, right? Like, do we want to import that to these younger players? Absolutely not. I'd rather we finish out with what we have, and then in the summer, when we're kickstarting, we bring a couple to train with the first team and we start from there. But like whatever's going on this season, let it die with what's there. All these contracts are running out. If we're not renewing them, just let it die there. Let this mentality die here. I don't want it seeping into anything with any of our younger players, because that would be disastrous.
And they have a good thing going, man. Like these guys went and have gone further than any Greek youth team ever in European competition. Is that right? Was that the figure? Like,
yes.
Like, do not fuck with that. Like, let them go and do their dream. And then in the summer, hopefully, Mendilibar seems to have a decent idea. Hopefully he brings some of those guys along. If he's here, Jesus Christ, if he's here, we say that, preface it with that. And we see, because anyway, I think we're way off. We're an hour and a half in. Do we want to wrap up? I know the Europeans want to go to sleep.
I just want to add something.
Go ahead.
I'm frustrated because tonight we did not have Gelson Martins with us. I think it's going quite unnoticed that how much this guy could have changed the team if his body made it possible. It would have changed the team as much as Horta and Chiquinho did when they came. And that's why I'm frustrated, because, of course, we ate 2 major losses, but even in those 2 losses, it wasn't that far from not being that bad. I don't know if it makes sense, but
It's just every time the opponent attacked, they scored.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know what Martial means. Like I understand what you mean.
It's too binary in the analysis for me sometimes, because it's not always being outplayed by the opponent coach. It's as Costa said, it's like being efficient. And we are not being able to be efficient for a long time now. And also, I wanted to highlight that I do appreciate Ioannidis as a player. Is the best Greek striker for me. I remember watching him playing for Olympiacos years ago, and I knew he had some hot prospect stamp on his face, and I was wondering why, because he wasn't scoring that much at that time. But he kept working, and the game he did today was insanely good, because he had like bricks. It turned bricks into 2 goals out of nowhere, playing with Biancone that was focused on fooling him every time, almost. And I'm sure this guy will go higher, and I hope that Panathinaikos is not going to ask for too much money, because he needs to play in a good league. He deserves that.
Yeah.
Good player, good body, good mentality. By the way, guys, I see it again. Mendilibar has not signed the contract extension. Mendilibar has not signed a contract extension. There is a gentleman's agreement, a handshake.
On that note, I know people have to run. They have to do things. I guess this is how we close up. We'll do a live Thursday. I guess the game is a late game, thankfully, so a lot of us will be able to watch, and then we go live directly via home. And then it's the Greek national team. This is a question I have. Adi, I know you follow the national team. Martial, maybe. So if we win, we play another game, the Greek national team. It's not like we win and then we wait until June or something to play another game. Okay, so we win, and then both games are at home? Is that how this works? How's that?
No, it's
Tell us.
I think
it's home away.
Because we play. I thought we played 1 game against Kazakhstan, and that's for the tie. It's home and away.
Wait. I think
no,
you're
it's
right.
away. The final is away.
But the final is away, so we play at home versus Kazakhstan to advance to the final, and then the final is away.
Which we will probably play Georgia, I think.
Georgia away in the same period, so within the same week.
It might be.
It's not like we play again in June or whatever. That's the next national break. Like, we'll know whether Greece is in the Euros in 2 weeks, let's say. Can anyone in the chat confirm that?
Yes. No.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to Greece, Olympiacos is playing Panathinaikos again on Thursday. Basketball, EuroLeague, 6:45. That's a huge game. We're in the top 6. They're 3rd. I think we're 5th in the standing. So that's a massive game. They're 1 win ahead of us. And we play them at home at 6:45. That's Central European time on Thursday. And then 9 o'clock kickoff Central European time against Maccabi. Those games are both on Thursday, double header. And then Tuesday, 12th of March, 5 o'clock Greek time, Bayern Munich, Olympiacos, Youth League.
Lambro, I have the schedule up here, by the way. So, yes. Okay. So, on March 21st, we play Kazakhstan. If we win, on the 26th, we play the winner of Georgia
Luxembourg in Georgia or Luxembourg.
And we would be away.
Okay. So, by the end of the month, we know if Greece is going to the Euros this year.
And on the 31st of March, we play AEK away.
Okay.
Back to Greece.
So, I'm wondering, because some people said, like, who cares about the national team? 1, self-explanatory, the situation. But, and 2, it will affect our players, because I assume Retsos, if we lose, just comes back and trains with us. So
probably. Yeah.
All our players.
Shout out to Theo Magnatis. Thank you so much for the donation, buddy. Great show, guys. See you after the 4-0 win against Maccabi the week. I tell you what, buddy, if we do get the 4-0 win, I'll send you a link to the show so you can join us if that happens. So,
could you imagine? Anyway,
yeah. Does anybody else? I don't feel like doing a coach's grade. I think everybody's going to be F. So does anybody else have anything else they want to add before we go ahead and move? Close up.
If
Nope.
If you're following us from X or Twitter, the bunch of you right now, head on over to our YouTube channel as well. Take the time to subscribe. Lots of good content on the channel besides the live streams that we do. So it's well worth coming over and checking us out.
Yep. And some of you already have joined us. We appreciate it. Go ahead and give us that follow. Help us continue to grow the community. We appreciate every single one of you. A lot of you still here from the beginning. Love all of you guys. Thank you for helping us continue to grow this project. We still have so much in store, so much more that we want to do. So many more things that are coming. We've teased the merch. One still final thing we have to work out with international shipping. And then you guys, everybody will be able to access it and check it out. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about, even when things aren't going well with Olympiacos, we're excited about what we're building here. It's cathartic for a lot of us. We have a space where we can all talk and hash things out. And it means a lot to all of us that you all still want to be a part of this. And we hope it gets even bigger and bigger. So here we are, Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see you, of course, we'll do our best to do that on after Maccabi Tel Aviv, the away leg, which will be in Serbia. And we'll see what happens after that, what kind of post-match that will be. But thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Ocupa, gente,